All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this rapid-fire explainer where we're going to conquer 3 completely essential chapters of Class 8 Geography and History, and we are doing it in under 10 minutes. If you want a solid understanding of how our physical world literally shaped human events, plus you want to lock down the answers to those key exam questions along the way, well, you are in the exact right place.
Here's our crash course agenda. 1. The world of resources. 2. Land, soil, and survival. 3. Trade, territory, and power. And 4. Strategies of empire building.
Section 1. The world of resources. From Geography, Chapter 1.
Okay, starting with the absolute basics of geography, we have to understand the literal building blocks of our environment and our economy. Honestly, everything begins with resources. So here's a classic exam question that you'll definitely see pop up. Think about what actually turns a random rock, or just an untamed plant, into something we can actually use. What's the catalyst there?
It's us, humans. It's human capability. Through education and health, we are the ultimate resource. We use our knowledge, our skills, and our tech to convert a totally basic substance into a resource. We essentially unlock nature's potential, based entirely on what we need at the time.
Now for the test. An absolutely crucial way we classify these resources is by their development. Definitely remember this pairing. Actual resources are the ones where we know the exact quantity and we're actively using them today. Think of the rich soil of India. On the flip side, potential resources are these vast reserves waiting for future technology. Like the Earth's geothermal energy, we don't even know the total quantity of that yet. Next up, we classify by renewability because we really have to protect our planetary stock. Renewable resources get replenished super quickly. Think solar or wind power. But non-renewable items like minerals, those have a strictly limited stock that takes thousands of years to renew. So the big takeaway here is that they can absolutely run out. And hey, don't forget, even some renewables like water and forests can get seriously degraded if we overexploit them.
Section 2. Land, soil, and survival. Geography, Chapter 2.
All right, here's another major test question we need to tackle. Have you ever wondered why some areas of the world are just packed with millions of people, while other areas are completely, utterly empty?
The answer is 100% tied to geography. It depends on soil fertility, climate, and landforms. The physical traits of the soil and the rock beneath it basically dictate if humans can survive there. Fertile river plains, they attract millions because you can farm them. Harsh deserts and crazy rugged mountains, they stay naturally empty. It creates a massive difference in how nations use their space.
To put that diversity into perspective, listen to this number. A staggering 56% of the land in Australia is strictly used as pasture for grazing livestock, over half the country.
But then, in sharp contrast, 57% of the land in India is dedicated entirely to farming. It just goes to show how heavily India relies on its agricultural soil for survival and food security. Since land is so vital, we've got to protect it from natural disasters, right? Especially in hilly terrains where landslides cause unbelievable damage. To mitigate that risk, there are 4 sequential steps to remember. First, protect forest cover so the tree roots hold the soil together. Second, identify hazard zones so we just don't build there. Third, construct retention walls to hold back soil pressure. And fourth, control surface water drainage so things don't get washed away. Now, to fight human-caused degradation, things like deforestation and overgrazing, there are 6 essential soil conservation methods that constantly show up on exams. You've got mulching to keep moisture in, contour barriers, shelter belts to block the wind, terrace farming for those steep hillsides, intercropping, and rock dams. These are literally our best tools to keep the agricultural engine running.
Section 3. Trade, Territory, and Power. History, Chapter 2. Okay, we're crossing the narrative bridge from geography to history now. Let's see what happens when powerful, expanding nations want all that land and those resources we just talked about. Welcome to the mercantile era. Business enterprises back then didn't just want to innovate, they wanted massive profits. And they got them by dominating global trade routes and locking down raw materials.
So ask yourself, why on earth did major European powers sail thousands of miles across dangerous oceans just to establish a monopoly in the Indian market?
It was all about those geographical resources. They were obsessed with the fine quality cotton and silk and high-demand spices like pepper, cloves, cardamom, and cinnamon. They could buy these resources super cheap in India and sell them for ridiculous prices back in Europe.
It was the ultimate mercantile prize. But, as you can imagine, this intense competition over resources quickly turned into literal wars. These companies realized they had to eliminate their rivals to protect their profits. That leads to major historical flashpoints, like the Battle for Mysore. Why did the British East India Company decide they absolutely needed to capture it?
Well, it all comes down to Tipu Sultan. He directly threatened their entire resource monopoly. He outright stopped the lucrative export of sandalwood, pepper, and cardamom. Plus, he blocked local merchants from trading with the company and actually allied with the French, who were Britain's huge European rivals, to help modernize his own troops. So for the British, getting rid of him became a strict, non-negotiable business priority.
Section 4. Strategies of Empire Building.
To secure these resources permanently, the British realized they had to evolve from being just merchants to aggressive territorial conquerors. Think of this next part as your ultimate cheat sheet for their expansion policies. You have the Subsidiary Alliance by Lord Wellesley, where Indian rulers actually had to pay for British troops, then Lord Dalhousie's Doctrine of Lapse, meaning if a kingdom didn't have a natural heir, Britain just annexed it. Add in direct military conquest, and Lord Hastings' policy of paramountcy, which basically claimed the company's authority was legally supreme over all Indian states.
Once the territory was conquered, they needed to keep it. So Warren Hastings set up a whole new judicial system to maintain strict law and order. He created a criminal court, known as the Faujdari Adalat, which is presided over by a Qazi and Mufti, and a civil court, the Diwani Adalat, controlled by a European collector who is assisted by Hindu pundits interpreting the ancient Dharmashastras. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to really think about this final question. Think about how the simple desire for nature's bounty, just wanting cotton, fertile soil, and spices, dramatically redrew the entire map of India and reshaped its laws forever. Geography creates the resources, sure, but history? History is the story of who controls them. Definitely keep that connection in mind as you study for your exams.